Welcome back, everybody. I am Modern Randy, and today we are talking about Pioneer because we have the RC coming up in DC in less than a month. As always, guys, if you like what I'm doing, you like what you're seeing, go ahead and leave a like in the comment, or leave a like and comment, and subscribe to the channel to help me grow a little bit. But today we are talking about Angels, a deck that has basically been dead since Amalia took over. Now, with Amalia officially dead and out of the format, this deck has sparked back up, rose back up, and is doing what Angels does best. They are gaining a bunch of life, making a bunch of fatty angels, and killing you faster than you can blink. So, going over the deck, just kind of explaining what's going on and understanding the deck, it is a collecting company deck and a Kaya's reconstruction deck. I'll go over those cards in a few seconds here, but basically the whole goal of this is just to outclass your opponent's creatures, gain life while you're doing it, and basically make it to where they can't win before they can deploy their own plan, and they're on the back foot the whole time. So to do that, we're playing 23 lands, basically all the green-white dual lands that we can play, along with a bunch of plains, and then one Ganjo, Seat of the Emperor, as our utility land, basically. We're playing 3 Llanowar 3 Ellis Mystics to help us mana ramp, along with 4 Inda Font of Hope. So she is a legendary creature, 2/2 for 1 and a white. Flying Vigilance. Each other angel you control enters in with an additional +1/+1 counter, so she's making her angels bigger. And then you can also tap her to pay a white and spend that mana only to cast angel spells, so she's going to ramp out our rest of our angels. Then we're also playing 4 Bishop of Wings. It's a 1/4 human cleric, double white, a little tougher on the mana base. And then whenever an angel enters, whenever an angel you control enters, you gain 4 life. So you also get, whenever an angel you control dies, you get a 1/1 spirit token flying. So kind of like doing double duty here is helping you gain life, because some of our angels care about the life gain. And then also when they do kill your angels, you're getting a 1/1 flying spirit as a backup. Not, too amazing, but what else can you ask for from our 2-drop? We also have our last non-angel creature, basically, is Skyclave Aberration, just there to hit all the problematic creatures, permanents that our opponents are playing. Basically just a way to remove problematic things. It's a great removal spell in a deck that's playing basically all creatures besides our 8 collected companies. So, getting off with our angels here, we have 4 Resplendent Angel. It is 2 white and 1 generic for a 3/3, and then flying. At the beginning of each end step, you gain 5 or more life this turn. Create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance, and then for 3 white and 3 generic, until the end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink. So not really too big a deal about the activated ability it has, but if we gain 5 or more life, we do then get another 4/4 angel. Bishop of Wings. So if we played 2 angels, or we played 1 angel and one of our angels had lifelink or something like that, that's 5 life. Then we get another 4/4 angel, gaining another 4 life. See how this can kind of stack up. Then we have Righteous Valkyrie, which is 2 generic and a white for a 2/4 flyer. And then whenever an angel or a cleric you control enters, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. And then as long as we have at least 7 more life than our starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. So, another way we're going to be gaining life from our angels. Notably, this also hits clerics. That is what Bishop of Wings is. So, we have Bryce's Valkyrie out. We hit this out. We gain 4 life automatically. You see how we're gaining not gaining infinite life, but we're gaining infinite life, right? We're gaining a bunch of life. We're putting our opponent in a deeper hole that they have to dig out of, while we're also making our creatures bigger. All this fun things. And then the last angel we're playing is Inspiring Overseer, which is 2 generic and a white for a flyer, 2/1, and when it comes into play, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Notably, not that great of a card. We did need some more angels in the deck, so this is kind of what the deck has come to. It also replaces itself when it comes into play. Kind of a neat little thing for a deck that has no draw or anything to it. And it's basically all creatures. So, how are we trying to get these creatures out even faster than just playing Llanowar Elves or Gilda? We are playing 4 collected company, so 3 in a green, instant. Look at the top 6 cards of your library, put 2 creatures with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom in any order. So notably, 4 mana, we can get out 6 mana worth of spells at the best cost. Otherwise, worst cost we're getting 4 mana. I guess worst cost we're getting 2 mana worth of spells, and we hit double Llanowar Elves as our only 2 creatures. But kind of a good little thing there. Like I said, the whole deck is all creatures minus Collected Company and Kaya's Reconstruction. What's going over that card here? It's triple white and X. Then we look at the top 7 cards of our library. You put X artifact and or creature cards with mana value 3 or less or among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of the library in any order. So notably, it for 4 mana it is a worse Collected Company. You get to dig one deeper, but you're only taking 1 card. But for 5 mana, we have become a 1 cost more Collected Company, and then anything after that, we get to pick more creatures from the top 7. So, for 6 mana, we get to get 3 creatures from our top 7. Not too shabby. Like I said, in a deck that we're mana ramping with Llanowar Elves, and we don't have any other ways to draw cards or get, an edge over our opponents. Now, if you're looking at the deck, like I am, or like I have, and going, alright, but like, doesn't seem that great. So the thing that Angels does well is it preys upon aggro decks, and it preys upon Phoenix. Right now, since we've had the banning of Sorin and the banning of Amalia, aggro is everywhere. People are trying to play aggro again because it has not been able to be played for so long. So this deck helps you with those because you're gaining a bunch of life with Bishop of Wings and Righteous Valkyrie, gaining you a bunch of life. So that's huge. Also, does really well against Phoenix because it has all flyers, essentially. Same thing with like Skyclave Apparition being able to eat their creatures. So yeah, it's cool that you had a 5/6 Leisure Shredder. I'm gonna Skyclave Apparition it. Oh, you killed my Skyclave? Dang. Alright, here's your 2/2. That will only ever be a 2/2. So has good removal against the Phoenix deck because it just exiles their creatures. And then it also gains you a bunch of life, and it has flyers to beat the Phoenix deck. So it does good against Phoenix, it does good against aggro. Those are the 2 big decks in the format right now, or 2 big archetypes in the format, is like all the aggro decks running around, along with Phoenix. I also think this deck doesn't have a terrible matchup against the food deck. Obviously, if the food deck gets its infinite combo, it doesn't really matter that you gain 42 life this game. You're going to die anyway. But it has that ability to put pressure on them, and it's big enough creatures that they can't just ping them down. So that is why this deck is doing well. I do think this deck struggles if mid-range gets big again, which I'm predicting it will. So I don't know if this deck will actually be good for taking to DC, but it's something to be on your radar, looking out for, because people will be trying to play this, trying to jam it, things like that. It is seeing play, it's doing well in the challenges right now. We'll see if that continues. But that's kind of like the biggest reason to play it, is it goes good against aggro, it does good against Phoenix. Those are the boogeyman of the format right now. Everyone's expecting to play against aggro and Phoenix. So if you're trying to beat just those decks specifically, Angels every day. Going over to the sideboard, you can kind of see that even more. So our sideboard is basically geared to beating the mid-range decks and the combo decks. So we have 2 Saper Sanctuary along with 2 welcomes. So the Saper's Sanctuary is a 1 green enchantment. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. So then removing our stuff, we're drawing a card for it, or at least staying up on value. Same thing with the welcome. It is 2 and a white enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control with mana value 3 or less enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So kind of like that wedding announcement, except that we're just going to be continuously drawing a card every time. Like not every time, but at least once per turn, we're drawing a card is what we're trying to do. Rest in peace here for all the graveyard strategies, like the food deck that's running around. Any other little like random decks that are running around. We have Dampening Spear here for the Lotus Field matchup, the Mono Green matchup. Turning off, not making sure they can slow down. Same thing with the Arcana of Emeria. Turning off that Lotus Field, making them play a little bit slower, making them have to answer this card. Redeem is here for the, for like the control decks that might be popping up. For Lotus Field, it's good against that. Same thing with the back half, it's good against the sacrifice deck that's running around, because it has, if your opponent would control a source opponent control would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent 1 of that damage. So you're turning off Mayhem Devil. Its little pings are now doing 0 damage instead of 1. Kind of huge. And then we have Anointed Peacekeeper as our roundout card to help us against any deck that we think we need to bring in against. So any of the combo decks that are running around, taking 1 of their combo pieces out, anything like that that we're just like, we need to hit something out of their hand early on. What it's here for. And that's kind of what this deck struggles against, right? It's bad against the combo decks, and it's bad against the mid-range decks as a whole, because if they can remove their creatures before you get going, it doesn't matter. They're beating you down with a 3/3. that's fine. They've removed all your creatures. You're not a threat. So interesting little deck. I do think Angels is interesting. I think that if the format stays to where aggro is very prevalent and the thing to be doing, I think this deck will end up being good for DC because of that. Because it just kind of eats the aggro decks. It wins that matchup, 80-20% of the time, 80% of the time basically. So like it is just a good matchup against the aggro decks, and it's a good matchup against the Phoenix decks. So we'll have to see how the metagame starts shaking out, and if the aggro decks kind of fall back to a normal level and we get some more mid-range decks to pop up, then this deck is definitely going to be less popular, less what you want to be taking. But as always, guys, I am Modern Randy. I am Randy, and I'll catch you guys next time.